what is happening, because it is a closed society, and apart from, perhaps some reports will leak, it's unclear. But they are in a bind here. It is a very tricky situation from Iran, because they need to show that they are strong, that they're hitting back, and they do have a leader, but they can't just rush to put anybody in place. So I think we'll see, perhaps in the next, I think they will try and do it fairly quickly, perhaps within a week, because otherwise it looks pretty bad. It's like they have no leader, and Iran certainly doesn't want to look like that. But let's hope, I mean, for their sake, that they have been, somebody has been being prepared. But with the elimination of Khamenei, of course, all those calculations could have flown out the window. So I think there's going to be a lot of plotting and power struggles going on at the moment in Tehran.
Hello and welcome. I'm Suma Katauka and you're watching the World Report on NewsX. Well, let's take a look at some of the headlines of this hour. US President Donald Trump stated that the US attack on Iran is advancing ahead of schedule, but warned that the conflict could last longer than the initial estimate of about a month. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has stated that military action against Iran could continue for some time, but it won't last years. He has also suggested that this campaign could pave the way for peace between Saudi Arabia and Israel. The Israeli military has reported that it shot down 2 unmanned drones that crossed into Israeli territory from Lebanon, part of rising cross-border tensions tied to the broader Middle East conflict. US President Donald Trump took to Truth Social to criticize former Presidents Obama and Biden's nuclear deal with Iran, claiming it would have led to a nuclear weapon 3 years ago. This comes amid escalating Middle East tensions. Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney arrives in Australia to strengthen relations between the two nations as global tensions rise, focusing on defense, trade, and critical minerals. Syrian President Ahmad al-Sharaa held a telephone conversation with Prime Minister of Pakistan Mohammad Shehbaz Sharif on the latest developments in the region, amid the recent escalation as the two sides jointly affirmed their commitment to develop Syrian-Pakistani relations amid heightened tensions in the region. Zimbabwe on Monday began releasing nearly 4,000 inmates who were granted presidential amnesty in a bid to ease overcrowding in prisons. The cabinet announced the amnesty in February on the same day it approved sweeping changes to the constitution as a plan to extend 83-year-old President Emerson Mnangagwa's term till 2030. Sam Altman, CEO of OpenAI, has confirmed that the company is collaborating with the US Department of Defense to update their agreement, ensuring OpenAI services won't be used by intelligence agencies like the NSA. We have a breaking news coming in. A magnitude 6.5 magnitude earthquake has struck southeast of Sinabang, Aceh, Indonesia at 4:56 a.m. GMT today, according to the Meteorology, Climatology, and Geophysics Agency. The earthquake, with a depth of 13 kilometers, occurred at 61 kilometers southeast of Sinabang in the Indian Ocean. No immediate reports of casualties or major damage have been confirmed. The assessments of the situation are still underway. The region continues to experience seismic activity as part of the Pacific Ring of Fire. Now we move on to World Report. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has denied that the United States would deliberately target civilians following claims from Iran that 168 people died in a strike. Rubio has stated that the U.S. targets missile capabilities, not schools, and confirmed that the Pentagon is investigating this incident. Rubio has also voiced support for toppling Iran's government, but clarified that the objective of the U.S.-Israeli operation is to dismantle Iran's ballistic missile and naval capabilities. He has emphasized that the U.S. had acted preemptively after learning of Israel's plan to strike. Let's listen in.
Well, clearly the United States would not deliberately target a school. Our objectives are missiles, both the ability to manufacture them and the ability. Well, clearly, the United States would not deliberately target a school. Our objectives are missiles, both the ability to manufacture them and the ability to launch them, and the one-way attract drones. That would be our focus, and that's what we would be focused on. We would have no interest and, frankly, no incentive to target civilian infrastructure. The Iranians are, on the other hand, targeting civilian infrastructure. You guys have seen it. I'm sure you've seen it. They're hitting hotels. They're hitting embassies. They're hitting airports. They're hitting oil infrastructure. Well, it'd be very tragic, but I can't speak to the details behind it because I just don't have it. It would be a tragic outcome if it's happened. I don't have the details as to what led to it. But what is clear is that the United States would not deliberately target a.
Meanwhile, U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance has defended President Donald Trump's decision to strike Iran, dismissing claims that he broke his promise to avoid endless foreign wars. Vance has stated that Trump's goal is clearly defined to prevent Iran from acquiring a nuclear weapon. He has stressed that Trump will not engage in a prolonged conflict without a clear objective, ensuring the U.S. avoids the issues faced in past wars. Now we welcome back retired Major General Sudhakarji. He is a senior geopolitical and strategic expert, joins us live from Jaipur. Thank you very much, Major General, for joining us again. Good to see you. Thank you. Now, as we are seeing this escalation in the Middle East, what do you think President Trump will use as a reason if this prolongs, and also, the fact that if this prolongs, and also the fact that there are, of course, more casualties, not just among American troops, but also Israeli troops, also among the other Middle Eastern countries. We're seeing more casualties rise. What do you think he will have to explain to his voters in upcoming elections, in midterms, that why he did what he did?
Nothing. Subha, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for getting me for your show.
Thank you.
It's a travesty of any logic and rationality, I would say. America and Israel in fact has trapped Donald Trump for the second time. And America is in for a very troubled time ahead. It will get drawn into a very long drawn war. Although I heard what Marco Rubio said, that it is not going to be something like endless conflict or something on Netanyahu's lines. And but they are playing with a very dangerous kind of a game, playing with fire. Perhaps they have people who actually are responsible may not have understood Iran in totality. So they will do well to go deeper into the issue and then take the rightful action. It's a civilizational country, more than 5,000 years. And when you talk about the religious radical kind of Islam they have been following, it's a theocratic society. Theocracy has to be understood in entirety. What is the meaning of theocracy? It's a vertical, it's a centralized pillar. Everything is decided by one man on the top, but it has got partial autonomy to the structures, to districts, to counties, to provinces. There are 31 provinces, and each of the provinces are manned by IRGC people, so they haven't understood it completely. So therefore, coming straight to the question, what justification will you give? There is no justification to give. It is a self-created problem. They have been trapped. There is no reason as to why they hit this target. They went in for this. The diplomatic, I call it as a political and the diplomatic blunder. Why I call it as a diplomatic blunder is because on one hand there was a diplomacy going on. The negotiation was in a very advanced stage. Iran had already showed indications. The interlocutors had come public and said that they are very close to the solution. So under these circumstances, I don't find anything which could have justified the attack, the way 60 seconds the supreme leader and the 40, not that I'm siding with Iran, I don't. Siding with Iran means I'm siding with terrorists. No, not at all. But the way there is some method in madness. Even in warfare also there are some sanctities, some principles to be followed. You can't call it as a preemptive strike and then, knock off the center of gravity of any country and bring the country to the knees. Iran is not going to come to the knees. They have not carried out to thorough evaluation of its defense capability, of the strength and stamina and the staying power, the economy, despite the distress. Economic distress has been created by USA and the Western allies by imposing sanctions. So they need to look at the people, wherever they left the country, are they creating another Iraq, another Syria or Libya? So these are the things he cannot justify. It is very difficult for him. There are 6 body bags have already gone within 48 hours or 3 days. First 3 days, 6 bodies. Will Americans be prepared to accept the body bags after the Afghan debacle? I don't think so. He's got much more things to actually settle in the domestic constituency. Back in America, there is an economic debt, huge debt of 168% debt to GDP ratio, $38 trillion debt. There is a issue of Epstein file. There is an issue of ICE killing the innocent civilians of American citizens. There is a problem of illegal immigrants. Host of problems. There are many. There is a gun culture which is killing their own people. The ISIS has penetrated into the system. There are reports of IRGC, same Iran people, Hezbollah, drug trafficking, and host of other things to be settled. On one hand, he says that he needs to look at the Monroe Doctrine, and change the name, and telling the world that you please fend for yourself, leave the Atlantic and across Atlantic to the Americas. The other hand, he's also promised his constituency not to open any new war. Wasn't that 12-day conflict last year in the month of June good enough a reminder for him that, friend, you're going against your commitment? Why are you starting new war? People in his country are asking him, why are you fighting others' war? What justification will have? Donald Trump simply has no justification. He will actually do well to sit down and introspect and carry out some kind of consultation with like-minded people or people who contradict him. He needs to sit across the table and carry out deliberation before he goes ahead in this offensive. Back to you,
Thank you. Thank you, Major General, for sharing that. Please do stay with us as we come back to you. Now, the U.S. Embassy in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, was struck by 2 drones early this morning, causing a limited fire and minor material damage. Saudi authorities have confirmed the attack, which occurred in the diplomatic quarter, and reports say more drones were later targeted at the site amid Iran's retaliatory actions following the US-Israeli strikes on Iran. While the embassy was empty at the time, black smoke was seen rising over the area. No casualties have been reported. In response, the US Embassy has issued a shelter-in-place notice to American citizens in Riyadh, Jeddah, and Dhahran. President Trump has hinted that the U.S. response to this attack and the deaths of 4 American service members will be revealed soon. Now we welcome back retired Major General Sudhakarji. He's a senior geopolitical and strategic expert. Joins us live from Jaipur. Thank you very much, Major General, for staying with us. Now, how do you analyze the current capability of Iran? As it has some of the missiles, of course, have landed without making damage maybe they intended to, or without striking the target that they wanted to. But we're seeing this difference of some of the missiles have hit the target. It seems like this time it has hit the U.S. Embassy in Riyadh in Saudi Arabia. So how do you analyze their capacity?
You see, I give the devil its due. As a soldier, it is unethical, it is unmilitary-like to underestimate any adversary. Why only Iran? So when a campaign starts or any kind of operations are undertaken, before that, such kind of contingencies should have been thought about and be prepared for. And to me, when I say that that attack 3 days back in Iran was without having thought through. They have committed a huge political and a diplomatic blunder. And this shouldn't have been done in this manner in 21st century. And yes, I am also agitated with the 7th October 2023. But behind that agitation, there has to be some method in madness. You cannot write off this way. So therefore, coming straight to the point, what kind of strategy they would be having, Iran would have, I feel the capacity you want to know. You see, the open domain says Iran has got around 3,000 missiles. I tend to differ. I have a different method of calculation. Their missile manufacturing started in the year 1984-85. Okay, with a very limited objective. At that point in time also, because sanctions had been imposed, indigenously they are trying to produce. They are trying to revise the goal setting, monthly goal setting, and finally it stabilized to producing around 300 missiles in a month, 3,600 missiles in a year. And given those interruptions of Iraq in Iran war 82, 88, and thereafter a couple of that Desert Storm and etc., plus this 12 days conflict, which is accounted for, I think, 4,000 all missiles going by the open sources. As per me, I've given them 5,200. Still, the capacity of Iran, as far as the missiles and the drones are concerned, are far too many. People have lost sight of the fact. If Hezbollah alone has got 1 point, before 7th October, Hezbollah had 1.5 lakh of or 150,000 of different kinds of rockets and missiles.
Yes, Major General, I would like to also welcome Mr. Levarko on this. Thank you very much, Major General, for sharing that insight. Mr. Levarko, what's your take? How capable is Iran, also building on Major General Siddharji's answer? What's your take? Mr. Levarko, are you with us?
You have to.
Okay, it seems like we have some connection issue over here with Mr. Levarko. We'll welcome back Mr. Elon Levarko. He's an Israeli journalist, joins us live from Netanya. Thank you very much, Mr. Levarko, for staying with us. Can you hear me?
Can.
Okay, perfect. So what's your take on the current capability of Iran hitting back Israel and also other countries in the region?
Well, their capability is limited. Number one, Israel and with the help of the United States are controlling the skies. We have total supremacy over the skyways right over Iran. Now, what Iran lack in airplanes, they have accumulated suicide drones, drone missiles, and this is a new level of warfare that Israel are learning about. So that is a concern. The drones have been sent. Not only that, they have a large array of ballistic missiles, and they are the ones that have been able to get through and cause damage here in places like Beit Shemesh, Beersheba, Jerusalem, Tel Aviv, and so yeah, they definitely have capabilities. The Americans have taken out pretty much all of their major Navy ships, boats. They took out 11 the other day. So really, they are relying on their ballistic missiles, their surface-to-air missiles, and their drones. That seems to be the major threat. On top of that, they have fighters working from Iraq. Update recently is that the Iranian supported soldiers in Iraq have started to fire. On top of that, just over 36 hours ago, Hezbollah, who are situated in South Lebanon, who are funded by the Iranians, they made an official statement. We have entered the war. So they are not shy about it. They are pounding us up in the north, and this is a big concern. We have rallied up. Firstly, it was 70,000 reservists. That's risen to 100,000. And our defense minister is talking about boots on the ground in Lebanon, that it looks like we're going to have to move in. Why? Because in South Lebanon, the Lebanese army, it does not seem that they are strong enough, that they are capable enough to handle the Hezbollah operatives. So instead, it looks like we are preparing for a ground operation there. So that seems to be what the latest, our assessment of what's going on. But Donald Trump, President Trump, has basically made serious threats because of the attacks on American bases, American ships, and he said, you have not seen anything yet. We are going to start, we haven't even started, he said. And we all know now that when Donald Trump makes threats, when he gives his word, he keeps his word. It's a pity for the Iranians. The Iranians didn't learn over 8 months ago during the 12-day war. Well, when asked about who controls Iran, his response was, soon you will see. So according to the American intelligence, they are way ahead of schedule. The Germans and the French are considering, and the British are considering getting involved as well. We saw that the British were attacked on one of their bases in Cyprus. So this is definitely heating up, and it's not going to happen overnight. But on the other hand, it's not going to take forever. Benjamin Netanyahu was saying this is moving fast, it's going to be swift, and it's not going to be a prolonged, long war. We've already taken out the head of the snake, the supreme leader of Iran. So we're sitting back waiting to see as these events unfold.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lavarco, for sharing that insight. Now we have another news. Moving on, in a statement released by U.S. Central Command, the death toll of U.S. military personnel in the ongoing Iran war has been confirmed to have risen to 6 people, up from 4. This includes 2 service members whose remains were recently recovered from a facility struck during Iran's initial attacks in the region. The statement also confirmed that U.S. forces hit over 1,250 targets within the first 48 hours of the conflict. These targets included command centers, ballistic missile sites, Iranian naval ships and submarines, and anti-ship missile sites. The escalation highlights a significant intensification on the conflict, with both sides ramping up military actions across the region. U.S. Central Command continues to prioritize the safety and security of U.S. personnel and assets while actively engaging in ongoing military operations. Now we welcome back retired Major General Sudhakarji. Thank you very much, Major General, for staying with us. You know, as the casualties are rising, unfortunately, not just among U.S. troops, but also, Israel and also in the Gulf countries, do you think this is escalating and will continue more than, the initial announcement that this was going to be 4 days, then 4 weeks, and now we don't know how long will this prolong to?
Your question, it's a very brilliant question you have asked, Asoma. It takes my mind back to 1969. Henry Kissinger, in one of his monumental books, he had used a very cryptic proverb. He said, the conventional army loses if it doesn't win. The guerrilla wins if it doesn't lose. We have compelled Iranian, not that they were any good, we have compelled this nation state to adopt guerrilla warfare. That is going to be the dangerous turning point in the entire thing. Guerrilla warfare is not going to end so soon, and they already have predominant proxies operating, although they are down, but they are not out. So my only fear is, but thinking good of America and Israel, it's a notable milestone they have undertaken for themselves, for the humanity, I would say. But then they will do well by making sure that some degree of stability in Iran is ensured, or at least it stabilizes and it doesn't give rise to the activities which I have just elucidated. Under the circumstances, when any external attacks or powers are attacking any country, generally the divided society which Iran was in any case gets out the passion for nationalism gets ignited generally. Whether it has happened or not, the ground report will reveal. But as per my unofficial, informal inputs coming from my old friends when I was there in Middle East, they indicate that yes, it's holding them tight. So therefore, when you ask that question, how long, what is the capacity? My answer to that is, well, it is anybody's guess, but not less than 3 to 4 months. It may go beyond that, provided they carry out some kind of a very calibrated kind of an approach. When I say calibrated approach, they should ensure that there is minimum collateral damage. Minimum collateral damage. Under the circumstances, you have all the neighbors of Iran which have been attacked. The attack will still continue. Iran, let's not underestimate. I do agree with our co-panelists. While the inventory may have been reduced drastically, yet be mindful of the fact they have got hypersonic missile. How many they have, I don't know. The Fatah 2, which moves at 18,000 kilometers per hour, no radar or surveillance system in the world can either track or detect it or intercept it. Israel doesn't have an interceptor. So they are yet to show that. And Fatah series missile, hypersonic missiles, I am given to understand China also has extended support, the DF-17, which also is based on a hypersonic glide vehicle. Now
Yes.
these are very, very dangerous kind of, weapon platforms. If
Yes.
Iran has got, that also will indicate as to how long this operation will last.
Yes.
And I'm also told that more than 100,000 kamikaze drones are there. Yesterday I had done the bin counting. I brought it down to 86,000 by accounting for attrition during 12-day conflict last year and this couple of 2-3 days of this year. So I brought it down to 86,000 kamikaze at the rate of, let's say, in one day, if they fire 2 volleys of missiles and the drones, it is not anything less than 200 to 300 in one volley. Anything less than that, the Iron Dome will actually render them ineffective. So if it is 2 of them, 200, 400 missile and kamikaze,
Yes.
missile, my estimate is it's much more than 3,000, what the open domain is saying. My calculation suggested that they have something close to almost about 900,000, which is sounding very ridiculous.
Yes.
The defense production capability also has been rendered ineffective as per our the distinguished co-panelist has just given out.
Yes.
So despite that, they have collaborations with North Korea, they have collaborations with China, they have collaborations with Russia. Don't be surprised. Between 28th January and 31st January, there are 56 aircrafts landed from China. So why did those aircrafts? What are they carrying? They definitely carried something. What are they? We need to look out for these kind of things. Anything is possible. Therefore, it will be fair on part of a military leader or military mind not to underestimate the capability of the Iran. Otherwise,
Yes.
they may step
Major
into
General.
the minefield, which will be disastrous.
Thank you very much, Major General, for sharing that. We have a breaking news coming in from Riyadh. The United States Embassy in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, has confirmed it was attacked and urged American citizens to stay away from the facility. In a statement, the embassy has warned all U.S. nationals to shelter in place and avoid the area until further notice. The attack comes amid heightened tensions in the region, and the embassy will remain closed on Tuesday as authorities assess the situation. The U.S. government has not yet provided further details on the nature of the attack or the extent of the damage. U.S. officials are closely monitoring the security situation and will update the public as more information becomes available. Now we move on. President Donald Trump has taken to social media to slam Democrats who have criticized the U.S.-Israeli airstrikes against Iran. Trump has claimed that the left's complaints were motivated simply because he was the one to authorize the attack. And he said that Democrats would have called for action if he hadn't, stating they would be screaming, "Why didn't Trump attack Iran?" The president has also insisted that the United States is stronger than ever and that whatever action he takes, Democrats will always be on the opposite side. Now we welcome Mr. Elon Lavarko. He's an Israeli journalist, joins us live from Netanya. Thank you very much, Mr. Lavarko, for staying with us. Now, looking at U.S., President Trump say, what do you think? I've earlier asked a Major General about this, but what do you think would Trump use to justify his actions moving forward? And do you think U.S. and Israel are on the same page in terms of strategy about Iran?
100% absolutely, yes. Based on the communications, based on what we're seeing in the social media between Donald Trump, Benjamin Netanyahu calling each other regularly, they're on the same page. This has obviously, it's come out that this has been planned for a long time. While we've been in the waiting game the last 2 to 3 months, we've been seeing mass amount of ships, airplanes massing around the Gulf here, and people are waiting, wondering whether Trump's going to pull the trigger or not. What has come out is that this was planned some time ago, and so that is all down to the military intelligence. So they are on the same wavelength. I think the other concern about where this war is going, notice how the large proportion of missiles that the Iranians have fired have not been at Israel. They have actually been attacking other Muslim nations in the region. Why is that? And number one, there are American military interests and bases in these nations, but on other people's analysis, it's because Iran are trying to make this from a regional war. They are trying to globalize this. They're trying to make this look like this is larger than just Iran, Israel, and America war. They are hoping to make effects with the oil prices, for example, which are going sky high. Now, what's going to happen? You're going to get people like the Democrats in the United States. They're going to start to point the finger. They're going to start to attack Donald Trump. This is going to bring more division inside of the United States. And where there's division, there's cracks in the wall and weaknesses. The same here in Israel. We're going to get attacks by people who are against the government. And then you're going to get other nations and there's concerns that China may not put up with not only the higher prices, but the lack of oil. They get a lot of their oil from this region, from the Iranians. So this is strategizing by attacking these Muslim nations. Personally, I think it's backfired against them. These Muslim nations like Qatar, they were an ally of by proxy and by shadow. They were an ally of Iran, And now they are strongly turning against the Iranian regime. So I think this is a backfired strategy of the Iranians. But certainly when it comes to America, Israel, they are on the same wavelength. Incredible cooperation between these nations. And like I said before, maybe other nations are going to join in this coalition. We will see.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lavarco, for joining us and sharing that insight throughout our news. Now we have a breaking news coming in from Israel. Israel's military has said that it has launched simultaneously airstrikes against military targets in both Tehran, Iran, and Beirut, Lebanon. As the Middle East war widens and intensifies, the Israel Defense Forces have announced the operation early Tuesday, saying these are targeted strikes on strategic Iranian regime objectives, as well as Hezbollah militant positions around Lebanon's capital. This comes amid ongoing hostilities between Israel and the United States and Iran-backed forces across the region, with casualties reported in Iran and Lebanon alike and evacuation orders issued for civilians in affected areas. The conflict has spread beyond its original flashpoint, drawing in multiple allied and proxy groups and signals a further escalation of the broader Middle East crisis. Now we move on to U.S. A U.S. federal appeals court has rejected President Donald Trump's request to delay legal proceedings over tariff refunds, allowing the case to move forward in lower courts. This comes after the Supreme Court struck down Trump's global tariffs last month, opening the door for companies to sue for refunds. Trump's tariff had generated over $130 billion in revenue for the U.S. government, and now a legal battle ensues over refunds for companies like FedEx and Costco. The court's decision to lift the stay on refund litigation signals the beginning of a complicated legal fight for repayments. Trump, however, continues to criticize the ruling on social media. That's all we have time for. Keep watching NewsX World for more news updates from around the world.
In the midst of death, life persists. In the midst of untruth, truth persists.
Hello and welcome. I'm Asuma Katauka and you're watching the World Report on NewsX World. Let's take a look at some of the headlines of this hour. U.S. President Donald Trump has stated that the U.S. attack on Iran is advancing ahead of schedule, but warned that the conflict could last longer than the initial estimate of about a month. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has stated that military action against Iran could continue for some time, but it won't last years. He also suggested that this campaign could pave the way for peace between Saudi Arabia and Israel. The Israeli military has reported that it shot down 2 unmanned drones that crossed into Israeli territory from Lebanon, part of rising cross-border tensions tied to the broader Middle East conflict. U.S. President Donald Trump took to Truth Social to criticize former Presidents Obama and Biden's nuclear deal with Iran, claiming it would have led to a nuclear weapon 3 years ago. This comes amid escalating Middle East tensions. Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney arrives in Australia to strengthen relations between the two nations as global tensions rise, focusing on defense, trade, and critical minerals. Syrian President Ahmad al-Shara held a phone conversation with Prime Minister of Pakistan Mohammad Shehbaz Sharif on the latest developments in the region amid the recent escalation, as the two sides jointly affirmed their commitment to develop Syrian-Pakistani relations amid heightened tensions in the region. Zimbabwe on Monday began releasing nearly 4,000 inmates who were granted presidential amnesty in a bid to ease overcrowding prisons. The cabinet announced the amnesty in February. On the same date, approved sweeping changes to the constitution as a plan to extend 83-year-old President Emerson Mnangagwa's term till 2030. Sam Altman, CEO of OpenAI, has confirmed that the company is collaborating with the U.S. Department of Defense to update their agreement, ensuring OpenAI services won't be used by intelligence agencies like the NSA. Now we start this hour with U.S. President Donald Trump has sharply criticized former Presidents Barack Obama and Joe Biden's nuclear deal with Iran. President Trump has claimed that if he hadn't terminated the deal, Iran would have developed a nuclear weapon years ago. President Trump's remarks came as tensions in the Middle East escalated. The U.S. and Israel's airstrike campaign against Iran has intensified, with Israel targeting Lebanon in retaliation for Hezbollah strikes. Meanwhile, Tehran continues missile and drone attacks in the Gulf states, hosting U.S. military bases. Trump has also warned that the military operation could drag on for weeks, and the leadership vacuum in Iran following the death of Supreme Leader Khamenei remains uncertain. Now we welcome Mr. Adrian Calamel. He's a terror scholar, joins us live from New York. Thank you very much, Mr. Calamel, for joining us again. Good to see you. Now, you know what?
Good to see you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Calamel. Now, you know, as we see Trump emphasize that Iran was so close to nuclear deal or making a nuclear bomb, yet he earlier, last year, said that the Operation Midnight Hammer, obliterated that facilities or developments. Do you think there is a change in his stance of where Iranian nuclear capabilities lie now versus last year after Midnight Operation Hammer? What's your take?
That is a good question. I think he he came out immediately after when there really was not much of a battle damage assessment and kind of declared victory, saying we obliterated it. When he said it at the time, I thought it was a little premature, and it turned out it was, because there were a couple of sites, Isfahan, Parchin, and especially the one site, Pickaxe Mountain at Natanz, that were always going to be a concern. And sure enough, those are the sites that they need to go back and hit again. Pickaxe Mountain, to my knowledge, as of now, has not been targeted as of yet with the regime. But that, I think the objectives were much more different with this campaign.
Right. And do you think, why is he criticizing? Well, it's not new for him to criticize or trade blame towards past presidents. What do you think about his criticism for the past president's nuclear deal with Iran?
Well, I think it is absolutely fair to criticize the nuclear deal that Obama sold to us. He pushed it through an executive order. It was not pushed through Congress because it would not pass through Congress. And it was written by Ben Rhodes, who his major in college, even though he crafted this deal, his major, he was a creative writing major. And the option that was sold to the United States was, either you vote for yes for this, or pressure your congressional members that you, yes or to this, or if you say no, you're going to have a nuclear weapon. When in fact what happened was it really just, kicked the can down the road, gave the regime a bunch of money, and that was the state of the nuclear deal. It was bad all the way around. Now, as far as Trump saying, he could have prevented this years ago. I think he, during the 2 years of his, the last 2 years of his first term, he definitely did put the regime in a difficult spot with their nuclear program. But they were able to get back to kind of where they wanted to be, just through the Biden administration's refusal to enforce sanctions on the regime.
And how do you analyze the difference between Midnight Hammer versus the Operation Epic Fury? Because to me, the target even seems different, because in Midnight Hammer, they only targeted, like you mentioned, Isfahan and a few other cities that are supposed to have these nuclear facilities. But this time it has Tehran, it has many other cities. What's this difference?
Yeah, it's the target package, what they're going after. It was very limited before to the nuclear sites at Fordo, Natanz, and Isfahan. This initial strike was to, one, blind the regime, to confuse, and also to take away the retaliatory capabilities. So they hit IRGC bases, IRGC Control and Command, the Aerospace Division, which is involved with the communications for ballistic missiles and things of that nature. They took out naval sites. So it's really about degrading the regime's ability to the best of their ability to unleash havoc, diminish their ability to unleash havoc on the region. We're seeing the ballistic missiles flying to the UAE, to Bahrain, to Riyadh. We're seeing the drones. The initial phase was to reduce that. Now, what we have after a little over 2 days is that we have air dominance. We control the skies. So that's going to be, now we're going to start to see, I would imagine, more Natanz, Pickaxe Mountain, those sites being targeted, those nuclear sites in particular being targeted. But now, the initial phase was to, wipe out the command structure, so it caused confusion as far as response goes, who's in control, and then also to gain air dominance so that they can go run through their target package as the Air Force and Navy and the CENTCOM goes through it.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kalmer, for sharing that deep insight with us. Please do stay with us as we'll come back to you. Now, looking at Iran, Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi has called on regional countries to pressure the U.S. over its strikes on Iran. Araghchi has emphasized that Tehran is not at war with regional nations, but warned that U.S. military bases across the Middle East are legitimate targets. Meanwhile, Israeli forces successfully intercepted Iranian missile barrages early today, marking the fourth day of the ongoing U.S.-Israeli military campaign against Iran. Joint operations launched over the weekend have expanded with no end in sight as Israel retaliates against Hezbollah and Tehran continues missile and drone attacks. In a separate incident, objects fell from the sky in Qatar following missile interceptions. The Pentagon has released new footage showing U.S. aircraft operations, including B-1 bombers, striking deep inside Iran. The conflict shows no signs of de-escalating, with 6 U.S. service members reported killed. Meanwhile, Marco Rubio has warned Iran that it will face the hardest hit. He has also added that regime change is not the U.S.'s agenda, destroying ballistic missile capabilities is. Now let's hear what Marco Rubio has shared.
اینکه ما بخوایم جنگ رو منطقه‌ای بکنیم، اصلا جنگ منطقه‌ای خواهد شد. به این علت ساده که پایگاه‌های آمریکا و تأسیسات آمریکا در کل منطقه ما پراکنده هست. خب وقتی آمریکا به ما حمله میکنه توسط جنگنده‌هاش، توسط ناوهایی که میفرسته، اونها خب به خاک ما دسترسی دارن، توسط انواع و اقسام موشک‌ها و جنگنده‌ها اینها حمله میکنن. ما به خاک اونها دسترسی نداریم ولی به پایگاه‌های اونها در منطقه دسترسی داریم و از نظر ما پایگاه‌های اونها یک هدف مشروع به حساب میاد. اما الان وضعیت فرق میکنه. ما با کشورهای همسایه‌مون طرف نیستیم، با نیروهای آمریکایی موجود در پایگاه‌های مستقر در خاک این کشورها طرف هستیم و با آمریکایی‌هایی که به هر شکلی دارن به ما هر روز و شب حمله میکنن و اسرائیلی‌ها البته. و اینکه پایگاه‌های آمریکا در منطقه بخوان سربازان تخلیه بشن برن مثلا تو هتل‌ها مستقر بشن، خب طبیعی هستش که این خودش یک موضوعیت پیدا میکنه. ما به هر شکل و هر شیوه از خودمون دفاع میکنیم، از مردم.
Now we welcome back Mr. Adrian Calmel. He's joining us live from New York. Thank you very much, Mr. Calmel, for staying with us. Now, we're hearing, foreign ministers say that all the countries in the region are legitimate targets, but they're not in war with them. What are we supposed to make of this situation? It seems to me like what he's saying and what the Iranian forces are doing or attacking is there's a difference.
Yeah, it's rather rich that he's saying that. He's saying he's just targeting U.S. bases, but he's hitting high rises in Bahrain. He's hitting the Gulf states have united against this regime. They know that, the UAE, the amount of interceptions that they've done as far as drones and ballistic missiles go, I think it's getting close to 1,000. So, this is part of what we're not seeing. There's a lot of coverage about the launches at Israel, but the whole idea of, we're not targeting you, we're just targeting our U.S. bases. Well, either that means you're lying, number one. Number two, your ballistic missiles are horrible because they're just not hitting the intended targets. Or, we're doing it, we're pressuring you, and we want you to pressure the United States. And that's not happening. What it's doing, it's pulling them all together. And there's talk about them taking kinetic action against the regime in response now. Again, another miscalculation by the regime.
Do you think that there's also a misjudgment or misalignment within Iran between the IRGC forces and foreign minister?
I think that may be true with some aspects, but this was the plan that was laid out. If you looked at their social media, what they said, what their top propagandists were saying, the message was loud and clear. If the United States attacks us and you have a base in that country, we are going to attack you. We are going to turn the region into fire. We're going to rain fire down on everybody. And they're holding true to that promise. So, secretly behind closed doors, and I think now a little more overtly, the Gulf or the GCC countries, they're coming together and they're aligning. And even Qatar, which shares in a gas field and derives the majority of their wealth from with the Islamic Republic, is strongly condemning them and realizing that they're not our ally right now at this point.
Thank you very much for highlighting that, and please do stay with us as we have more breaking news coming in. Now, Saudi Arabia's defense ministry has announced that its air defense systems successfully intercepted and destroyed 8 drones near the capital, Riyadh. In the city of Al-Kharj, Major General Turki Al-Malki, a spokesperson for the ministry, has confirmed the operation via a statement on social media platform X. The drones were intercepted as they approached the city, securing Saudi Arabia's airspace. This comes as the kingdom remains on alert amid increased regional tensions. More details will follow as the situation develops. Now we have another breaking news. President Donald Trump has suggested that the United States will retaliate soon after its embassy in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, was struck by 2 suspected Iranian drones. In an interview, Trump has said the American public would find out soon how the U.S. plans to respond, but did not provide any further details. The U.S. Embassy in Riyadh has confirmed the attack, which caused a limited fire and minor material damage. Following the strike, the embassy issued a shelter-in-place alert for U.S. citizens in Riyadh, Jeddah, and Tehran. Now we welcome back Mr. Adrian Calamel. He's joining us live as a terror scholar from New York. Thank you very much, Mr. Calamel, for staying with us. Now, how do you analyze this escalating situation in the Middle East? Do you think they are going to, all of these countries in the Middle East will be dragged into this conflict now?
I don't know if they're going to be dragged into it. I don't know if they're going to take action. What I will say is that I do believe a lot of them are going to allow us to start using their bases, which was before this conflict. They were saying, no, we will not allow you to use our bases. You can't even transit through our airspace. That's all going to change, and that gives us more freedom of action in the battle space. This the targeting of Riyadh, and then also the United States coming out and saying, Trump saying that there's going to be a response to the death of the 6 service members. There's one area that's of interest to me that really kind of wasn't targeted much during the 2 years of the conflict in Gaza, even though the proxies did act up there. And there's been real concern inside the green zone, and that's in Iraq. I wonder if, as far as regional spillover, I don't think it's going to be regional spillover. I think the regime and the proxies that are associated with it are going to be more and more isolated, and you're going to see the countries that, like the GCC countries, Jordan, you name it, start to come around to the side of the United States.
Thank you very much, Mr. Calamel, for sharing that insight with us. Please do stay with us. We have another breaking news coming in from Israel. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has stated on American TV news that the United States and Israeli military campaign against Iran would not drag on forever, but it is intended to be a short, decisive push. Netanyahu has called the conflict not an endless war, but rather a gateway to peace, and said he believes there is a lasting path to peace in the Middle East if the campaign achieves its objectives. His comments come amid continuing strikes and retaliatory attacks across the region in the widening war with Iran, with both sides exchanging military actions in multiple countries. Now we welcome back Mr. Adrian Calamel. Thank you very much, Mr. Calamel, for staying with us. Now looking at this, in the beginning they said this Operation Epic Fury is for 4 days, and now they're saying it might become longer. Trump has said it might become like a month, and now Netanyahu is saying this. What's your take on, this?
The physics was known for quite.
Hello and welcome. I'm Asima Katauka and you're watching The World Report on NewsX World. Let's take a look at some of the headlines of this hour. U.S. President Donald Trump has stated that the U.S. attack on Iran is advancing ahead of schedule, but warned that the conflict could last longer than the initial estimate of about a month. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has stated that military action against Iran could continue for some time, but it won't last years. He also suggested that this campaign could pave the way for peace between Saudi Arabia and Israel. The Israeli military has reported that it shot down 2 unmanned drones that crossed into Israeli territory from Lebanon, part of rising cross-border tensions tied to the border Middle East conflict. US President Donald Trump took to Truth Social to criticize former Presidents Obama and Biden's nuclear deal with Iran, claiming it would have led to a nuclear weapon 3 years ago. This comes amid escalating Middle East tensions. Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney arrives in Australia to strengthen relations between the two nations as global tensions rise, focusing on defense, trade, and critical minerals. Syrian President Ahmad al-Sharaa held a telephone conversation with Prime Minister of Pakistan Mohammad Shehbaz Sharif on the latest developments in the region, amid the recent escalation as the two sides jointly affirmed their commitment to develop Syrian-Pakistani relations amid heightened tensions in the region. Zimbabwe on Monday began releasing nearly 4,000 inmates who were granted presidential amnesty in the bid to ease overcrowding in prisons. The cabinet announced the amnesty in February on the same day to approve sweeping changes to the constitution as a plan to extend 83-year-old President Emmerson Mnangagwa's term till 2030. Sam Altman, CEO of OpenAI, confirmed that the company is collaborating with the U.S. Department of Defense to update their agreement, ensuring OpenAI services won't be used by intelligence agencies like the NSA. Now we start this hour with U.S. The U.S. Embassy in Iraq has ordered non-emergency government employees to leave the country due to escalating security risks. Now we're taking breaking news from Iraq. The embassy has also issued a travel advisory urging staff to avoid using Baghdad's international airport because of safety concerns. In a related development, Mora Namdar, a State Department official, has warned U.S. citizens to depart now from over a dozen countries, citing serious safety risks. The advisory covers Iraq, Iran, Syria, Lebanon, Israel, and other countries in the region, urging citizens to leave using commercial flights as soon as possible. Now we move on to U.S. The U.S. military has launched a series of attacks on Iranian military sites in response to escalating tensions in the Middle East. U.S. Central Command confirmed that U.S. forces destroyed several key facilities, including Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps command posts, Iranian air defense systems, and missile launch sites. The sustained operations also targeted military airfields and drone launch sites. These strikes come after the outbreak of war over the weekend, as the U.S. intensifies its military actions against Iran's strategic infrastructure. The full extent of the damage is still unfolding. Now we welcome Mr. Keith Vaz. He's a former British minister, joins us live from Dubai. Thank you very much, Mr. Vaz, for joining us. I hope you're staying safe there. How's the situation like in Dubai? What are you seeing and what are you hearing?
Well, at the moment, it's very calm. People are going about their business. They're going to work. They are going to the shopping malls. And last night, they were going out. It's business as usual from that point of view. For the tourists and the visitors, like people like myself and others, obviously it is a worrying time because it's not a time that we're used to in places like the UK and in Europe. We were told originally that flights had resumed, flights had left Abu Dhabi and Dubai airport. Now we're not sure whether that is happening, but we were told certainly that they were ready, and I can hear at least one plane go over as we speak. Let's hope it's a commercial aircraft and not anything else. So we are following advice, which is that these are serious times to be careful and be cautious. But this is a financial capital. Dubai is one of the world's financial hubs. So you can't actually stop operating in a place like Dubai. And certainly the UAE government wants to show a period of normality. The ruler was out in the Dubai shopping mall yesterday with his family to show that it was business as usual, because clearly they cannot afford, no country can afford to be seen to be a pariah, unable to welcome people, because that's the Dubai economy. The Dubai economy is built on tourism.
Yes, indeed. Thank you for highlighting that, Mr. Vaz. I'd like to also welcome Ms. Daniela Bloom. She's an author and political commentator, joins us live from San Francisco. Thank you very much, Ms. Bloom, for joining us again. Good to see you. Now, how do you analyze it that the situation is escalating, of course, in the Middle East, and do you think that this can go on for, like, you know, the longer than the initial predictions